Co-option of Public Functions. By Anna von Reitz. Information provided to H.E. Cardinal Mamberti and the Vatican Chancery Court in regard to our claims, March 5, 2005, January 19, 2023, in Seek. This part of the Great Fraud began in the years immediately following the so-called American Civil War, and was one of the self-serving actions undertaken by the robber barons who were building the railroads at that time. Many groups of outlaws haunted the American West, including but not limited to roaming bands of former Union and Confederate soldiers and gangs of professional gunslingers and cattle rustlers and, of course, train robbers. The railroad barons used their influence over the Territorial Congress to secure new laws allowing them to hire private subcontractors, specifically, Pinkerton Detective Agency subcontractors, to ride the privately owned railroads at public expense. The Pinkerton agents worked as private security personnel under the direction of the railroad barons, but their services were paid for out of the public purse. This first public-private partnership served as an example for many other and considerably worse abuses and transgressions against the natural barrier between the public functions of government and private corporate self-interest. The railroad corporations, all operating as District of Columbia Municipal Corporation franchises, immediately benefited from shifting the cost of security personnel onto the backs of the general public, yet maintained control over those security personnel and were able to direct them however the corporation's management chose. From T.E. Harriman's standpoint, it was the best of both worlds, private security forces at public expense. We note that the Territorial Congress had no authority to create public-private partnerships to benefit their cronies and franchise operators, yet this practice has proliferated and continued non-consensually for over 100 years, with no disclosure to the general public and the state citizen principles. Over time, the municipal corporations housed in the District of Columbia have used various means of deceit and operations under color of law to unlawfully convert our county and state peacekeeping forces into private law enforcement services under the same scheme. These are private security services employed by municipal corporation franchises pretending to be or to represent our county governments and state governments. As such, all the so-called state police and state troopers and county sheriffs operating as law enforcement officers are in the same status as any other private security personnel hired by corporations to guard warehouses or collect rents. These so-called public law enforcement officers thus have no public office, no public authority, no public bond, no public oath, no knowledge of public law and no actual public duty. Their only connection to the public is their paycheck and equipment allowance, which we pay for. Otherwise, they take their orders from corporation managers who take their orders from a foreign state legislature acting as the board of directors for a municipal corporation franchise, e.g., the state of Arkansas. This is not a conjecture. The circumstance has been affirmed by numerous court rulings in which we, the general public, have been informed that the police on our payrolls have no obligation to protect us, nor to prevent crime, nor to protect public buildings. Apparently, the purpose of all these law enforcement officers is to act as private security personnel paid for at public expense, and often, they are used as thugs carrying out unlawful revenue collections and confiscations of property in violation of the public and international law and Articles IV and V of every federal constitution. We wish for all these municipal corporation franchises, together with all their assets, to be lawfully converted into public ownership and placed under the direction of the unincorporated state government preserved by our state assemblies. We wish for all law enforcement officers to be retrained as public peacekeeping officers, directed by and accountable to their actual employers. We have already visited the prisons for profit schemes in which these municipal corporation franchises operating as, for example, the state of New York, build a new prison facility with public funds, staff it with law enforcement officers also paid for with public funds, then, go out and arrests members of our general public, mischaracterizes and impersonates them, then brings them to private self-interested corporation tribunals, incarcerates them, and then charges the public purse another amount between $6,000 and $20,000 a day for keeping them locked up. We wish for all persons who have their origin in one of the nation-states of the United States, who are not federal employees, who have been convicted of nonviolent crimes, code infractions, and other regulatory offenses, to be released. We wish for these prisons for profit, child protection agencies, and other organizations involved in arresting, detaining, impounding, or otherwise obstructing the movements of our persons and our trade in violation of Article 4 and V of all three federal constitutions, especially those organizations that are operating as public-private partnerships, to be audited and evaluated for benefit to the general public of this country. Those organizations and public-private partnerships found to be lacking substantial benefit to the general public, those criminally negligent or criminally self-interested, need to be dissolved and their assets returned to the lawful government as part of the reparations owed to the living people of this country. We wish for the direct administration of all the municipal corporation franchises, including but not limited to all police and law enforcement functions, to be returned to the living people populating each nation-state of the Union. Issued by Anna Maria Riesinger, Fiduciary. The United States of America in care of Box 520994 Big Lake, Alaska 99652. April 23, 2023. Thank you for liking and subscribing. If you feel this is valuable information, please share with family and friends. Thank you.